And hi, Margaret.
Sorry, say that again?
Oh, nothing. I was just saying hi, Margaret. I'm just going to let Kimmy in here.
I'll just get you to make me co-host of the meeting as well so I can
Yep.
share my
Sorry
screen.
about that.
No, don't be.
Yes. All right. So, hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Roers, and thanks for joining. We have Jared Olson with Sask Startup Institute today with us, just to go over their program and services that they have for all of you who are starting up your business in Saskatchewan. Before we get started, I just wanted to read a land acknowledgement, as this is an Indigenous program. As we gather here today, we acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis. We pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. So on behalf of Sage Hill Community Futures and the Indigenous Business Development Services Program, welcome to today's webinar. Sage Hill Community Futures has a variety of programs and services for entrepreneurs, loans, advice, and support. And we are here to support you. And today, like I said, we had Jared. So Jared, please go ahead and you can start your presentation for us today and introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the great introduction and everything. And thanks so much for having me today. It's great to be able to be here and let everybody know about our services that we've got to offer. Again, I'm from Sask Startup Institute. We're an organization that's here for all Saskatchewan entrepreneurs, whether you're starting, growing, or scaling your business. We're here to help you for absolutely free. Just a little bit about myself to start off, and a little bit about my background. I born and raised Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I did my Bachelor's of Commerce here in the city. And after leaving university, I was in banking for several years before starting my own restaurant, and then ran some other restaurants to follow before leaving the industry in 2023. Now I'm part of Sask Startup Institute, where I can bring my knowledge of my previous experience as an entrepreneur and business professional to you. So my PowerPoint will get rolling. Just a little bit about Sask Startup Institute in itself. We are a program delivered by SREDA, which is our development authority for Saskatoon, but we are a provincial program, like I mentioned, here to help anyone located in Saskatchewan as long as they are a resident. We are funded by Prairies Can, which is an organization provided by the federal government and a member of the Western Canada Business Services Network, which basically means there's an organization just like us in every province across Western Canada. So just a little bit of breakdown about our main 6 categories of the services that we offer. We've got expert guidance. So that's like people like myself and my other colleagues that can help you throughout your business journey and bring our own specific expertise, whether that's owning different types of businesses, our professional experience previously, finance, accounting, marketing, etc. We do have a great market research program, which is free, and I will get into that a little bit more with some more in-depth knowledge there. We also have our Ask an Expert program, which are experts that kind of go above and beyond our knowledge, whether that's accountants, lawyers, business planners, marketing strategists, that sort of thing. So if you're looking for somebody that can go a little bit more in depth than we can, we've got an expert for you. Business registration assistance. So if you're ever in the need to get your business started in terms of registrations and that sort of thing, we can actually help walk you through, whether that's in person or over Zoom. We can actually take you step by step about how to reserve a name, how to register with the province, with your specific municipality, taxes, etc. We've also got great business guides and checklists. So if you aren't able to connect with us during regular business hours, we've got loads of information on our website that help you walk through very common issues in running a business, whether that's hiring an employee, taxes 101, bookkeeping versus accounting, marketing, etc. We've also got a variety of different document templates whether that's a business plan template, business plan samples, or just general business document templates. Some of these examples include confidentiality agreements, partnership agreements, shareholder agreements, sales contracts, etc. So going into our market research reports to start off, we've got three main categories that we deal with right now. The first being business listings, second being industry reports, and third is demographics and expenditures. So before I kind of get into the different types of reports that we have, I just want to touch on NAICS codes a little bit. If you've ever heard of a NAICS code before, it's basically just a industry classification code that takes your business and lumps it together with other businesses similar to you. Basically, we use these codes to help determine what type of research you're going to need. So if you can see on the little screenshot there, you'll see just the 2-digit codes, whether that's very general like agriculture, manufacturing, or retail trade. As you use this website, which the link is there and I can provide to you as well, you can get into more specific codes where they get to 5 or 6 digits by either clicking on the code itself on the website or using the search bar with keyword. So like if I was looking at what code would a restaurant be, I would maybe use the word cafe, coffee shop, restaurant, so that you can figure out what code your business might fall under. Okay, business listings is the first one we've got here. We can use this report for multiple different types of uses. So we've got 3 main uses different types of businesses use a list of businesses for, one being competitors, the second being sales leads, and the third being suppliers. So this report, which I will show an example right away here, will show a variety of different information about the business that you're trying to look up, whether that's who they are, who's the owner or the executive, contact information, address, that sort of thing, which can be useful. But the other data that I find really, really useful for a lot of people is the spending and the income data. So if we're, let's say, trying to start up a restaurant and we want to know, well, what do other restaurants spend on certain expenses? We can pull you a list of all the different restaurants within your geographical area, and it tells you how much money they've spent on a variety of different topics, whether that's advertising, labor, accounting fees, legal fees, anything like that. So that can really help you realize what you're getting into when you're starting your business. So let's show you a little example here. So here's that first area here. We've got just like the main general information. If we're looking at landscaping contractors, executive name, address, city, phone number, etc. This is the most useful section for business leads. So if I was, let's say, starting my restaurant here again, and I'm looking to target doctor's offices or landscaping contractors here, I could say, okay, these are all these people that are available here, got their telephone number information. I can reach out to them and solicit to see if maybe they are in the market for some sort of catering service or whatnot. The spending data as well, depending on what you're trying to target, could make you realize what type of budget that business might have. So if you're, let's say, looking for that restaurant side of things, meals and entertainment would be huge. Say, oh, they're spending $5,000 on meals and entertainment a year, so I might be able to fit within their budget. Now, the other part for the other two, or especially your competitors, is this spending data. Obviously, I can't fit every single line into here just based on space, but these are some of the more common ones that you're going to see, whether that's advertising, computer, labor, insurance, etc. These numbers are also going to be a range, as you can see, just because all of this data is compiled and checked over by hand. So they want to make sure that they're covering a couple different years of business's lifespan, so that they don't want to put something super specific, and maybe that was from 10 years ago. So you can at least know what you're kind of getting into from maybe the beginning of your lifespan. Let's say your labor might only be $1,000 in year 1, but by year 5, maybe you're looking at $10,000 of expenses. The other option I did mention as well is suppliers. I'm not super for using this report for suppliers. It's great to get a list of them, but you're better off like finding ones that might be a little bit more available in your community. You can get some physical quotes, just because suppliers could be a little bit of anything. If you're looking up one industry, there could be a lot of data there for you. And I will mention that if anybody has any questions, just hop into the chat or raise your hand and you can unmute and I can absolutely answer those questions for you. But I will leave some time at the end of the presentation. It won't be too long, and I can answer those questions for you as you see fit. The next report is industry reports. So this is through a website called IBISWorld. Some of you may have heard it before, but it's basically just a report that looks at the over-encompassing information about of the industry you're going into, gives you some snapshots and some generalized data to kind of help you set the stage of what you might be getting into in terms of your business. Some really common uses is like growth rates or products and services to see what other businesses are like in your specific category so that you can kind of tailor the way that you're going to run your business as well and what you might expect. So like a good number there on this language instruction one is profit margin. So if you're getting into this specific industry, 16.6% isn't a very huge profit margin. So that just goes to show how much money you might make out of this type of business if you were to start, and what that level of profit you might need to make sure that you're paying for yourself, that sort of thing. The growth rates I find to be super useful for your business planning as well, just because you can use those data points to take your initial guesstimation of how much money you think your business is going to make and how much your money is going to spend. And then you can just apply those growth rates to what your, especially your income will look like from year 1 to year 5. Obviously, this is just a general snapshot. These reports can be quite long, usually like 5 to 10 pages, so there's a lot of information, but super useful for kind of giving you an idea of what you're getting into when starting your business, as well as how to apply it to your business plan and have some information to back up what you might be saying. I will also mention that this data is available for certain geographical regions. The previous report, our business listings, is available pretty much worldwide. The spending data is only Canadian, but we can get competitors and business listings for pretty much around the world, but you'll only get a small amount of information outside of Canada. Our industry reports are a little less in terms of coverage. Canada and the US are our major reports that we have. Now we're getting more and more information provincially. So we do, depending on the industry you're in, there are reports that are set provincially. So if you're in more of a common industry, like let's say restaurants or like some sort of agricultural manufacturing or cleaning services, there's going to be more information there than if you're trying to do something super niche. We also have a little bit of Mexican data as well, but not super useful, obviously, as most of us are going to be using Canadian and US suppliers or information to figure out our business plan. The third type of reporting that we have available is our demographics and expenditures. So this comes in a report based on census data. So you've probably heard of the census most years. It's not every year, but it's going to break down not only how many people live in a certain area, but also what types of people live there. So what their age, their race, their gender, that sort of thing, as well as a lot of household spending data. So you can see how many people are living in households, but also how much these households are spending on certain data points, whether that's food and beverage or clothing or recreation. So if you're especially in a more common type of industry, it's really useful to see, oh, maybe we're starting a hair salon and you want to see what people spend on their hair on an annual basis. That can be super useful to say, well, the average home is spending this much money. So if I can get X number of clients a year, that's about how much money I'm going to be making. Because if they're spending $2,000 on hair a year and you get 10 clients a year and they're coming regularly, then you can generally guess you're going to be making $20,000 a year, depending on what your sales margins and your price point is at. This data, unfortunately, is only Canadian, but the good thing about it is we can actually pull from as small as a neighborhood. So if you're in, let's say, Saskatoon, and you want to know, oh, what's the Newtowna neighborhood look like, or what's the Stonebridge neighborhood look like in terms of this data, we can get that small, but we can go as large as a province. So we can take a look at any certain area that you might be looking at. Some people might want to look at drive times or a certain geographical area around a town or a city. So there's lots of different ways that we can draw this data out. Like literally, I draw a line around an area that you're looking for and then get you that specific information. Whereas those other two reports, the industry reports, are more general and more wide open, whether it's a province or a country. And with the business listings report, we can go as small as a town or a city, but we can't go any smaller than that. Now I'm going to show you a little example of one here. I'm only really going to focus on the expenditure side of this type of report. So it is a little bit larger, as you can see, but the report that I'm going to provide you will break it down even more. So if we look at that highlighted blue one there, clothing and accessories, we see that about $3,600 is spent per year per household on clothing and accessories in 2020. So this might have changed since we do have updated reports of 2023. So there are more, or sorry, 2022, but there are more information as the years go on. And each of these categories also get broken down even more, like clothing and accessories is a good example because it gets broken down to men's clothing, women's clothing, baby clothing, accessories. I think it even goes into footwear as well. So if you're in a very specific type of market, you can definitely see what people might be spending specifically per year. Okay, so I'll go into additional resources here now. I know I'm kind of flying through some of this information. I know it's a lot, but definitely ask some questions if anybody has any after here. So our Ask an Expert program that I mentioned previously, we've got these main 6 categories that you can take advantage of. This is our only paid service. So if you're ever in need of an accountant, a lawyer, a strategist, or a realtor in any way, we have access to these individuals for $25 for 45 minutes once a year. So super, very low cost, affordable option for especially that lawyer accounting side of things. I wish I knew about this when I was running my business. It would have saved me a lot of time and money, but it's a great program that we have available to you. I will note as well, with especially the lawyer side of things, is if you need these individuals more than once a year, it's whatever they charge after the fact. So if an account or if a lawyer usually charges, let's say $200 an hour after that initial meeting, it's whatever they're going to charge. So definitely use these sparingly at the best case scenarios of when you can use them, just so you're not having to use too many meetings, or maybe try to plan it so you have one in December and then another one in January, so you break up that per year kind of cost. Events calendar. So depending on where you're located, we do have a variety of different webinars, trainings, seminars, networking events available from across the province. It's constantly being updated, so definitely take a look at it on the regular, especially on the education side of things. We share all the different types of training that are available to Saskatchewan entrepreneurs from all our different partners, whether that be Community Futures or WESC or BDC or any other entrepreneur focused webinar is going to be on there as best as we find them. So definitely take a look on the regular to see what might be out there. Networking events as well. If you're looking to meet professionals and other business people in your area, we post those as best as we can, but there aren't as many, obviously, if you are in a more rural area. Business planning guidance. So we have a variety of different business planning resources you can take advantage of. I'm sure Community Futures has some as well, but we've got our template that is super useful for you to get started with that business plan. We've got sample business plans of completed ones of a database, depending on what industry you're looking for. So we've got like restaurant ones, salons, anything in between. If you're in a very niche market, obviously we won't have something super specific and tailored to you, but we're going to have a variety of business plans that can be super helpful to at least help you figure out what types of of information is going to be required and how much detail you should go into. Those market research reports, as I mentioned earlier, they're super useful for backing up your business plan to really explain why you think you're going to be successful, and having that work to back you up and those reports to back your information up is going to be very useful for especially funding and investors, so that they know that you're not just making this up out of thin air. We've also got an amazing webinar that we do once a month. So our most recent one was just at the end of January. So I think the next one is on February 29th. It's a 90-minute long webinar that goes the top to bottom of how to create a business plan from your operations to your financials. So it's very information heavy, but it's a great resource to use and just to really get some key points of what you need in your business plan. And again, it's completely free, so you can sign up for it. And if you can't make it, not a huge deal. Not everybody has an hour and a half every day just to take a webinar. So definitely take a look at it. Ask an Expert program. We've got our business plan consultants. So if you want someone to write a business plan for you or review yours in full, these consultants are useful for taking advantage of that. I will mention, though, that you're not going to get your $25 meeting out of a consultant for your full business plan. You're going to need multiple different meetings to get through it. And usually to write a full business plan, you're looking at about $5,000-ish. So the more you can do yourself, the better, just because at the end of the day, financiers are going to want to know what you are planning, not what some third party is. We also have a service here at SaaS Startup for looking over business plans. We will only review a section of your business plan, but the requirement before we will even take a look is you have to, at minimum, take our business plan webinar. So if you sign up for it, can stay on for a little bit, and then maybe have to leave, that's perfectly fine. But we just require that you at least attend a portion of our webinar, so we're not coming in pretty blind. So I'll open it up to questions, but before that, I'll just talk a little bit about our locations and that sort of thing. So we're located Saskatoon, Regina. Our phone number and email addresses are there. Follow us on socials at SK Startup, or if you'd like to book an appointment with one of us, absolutely do so. We're completely free, and you can use us as much as possible. We are available 8 to 4, so take advantage of us and pick our brains as much as you can. But I'll open up to the questions, or if anything else we'd like to chat about.
Thanks, Jared. That's great.
I was looking for,
oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
no problem. I was looking for a bit of an overview of the organization, the work you've done. I have to admit, I was poking around on social media and came across the organization. I was completely unaware. So this is a good first step of becoming aware of the resources. And I'm particularly interested in the next webinar. Business plans can feel kind of daunting when they're really, I would guess, more about both the big picture vision and some of the practical elements of the plan. So thank you. This is good stuff.
Yeah, of course. I always say that I wish I knew about us when I was running my business, because there's a lot of time I could have saved, and especially the business plan of me doing individual quotes for every single expense, and it could have it would have been huge.
Thank you, Jared.
Of course.
Now, did you say, are the webinars recorded?
I know I saw this.
Yes.
This one is, but normally we don't record ours. We are in the process of, just because it's 90 minutes long, it's a hard one to keep uploaded. So we're working on like an 8-part series for business planning this year, but we do offer it enough, at least once a month, that you can take a look at that and attend it for sure. But we try to partner with some other organizations so we can put it up more often, but our team's pretty small, so we have to both balance the webinars and meeting with clients. So you can always meet with one of us too, and we can go into business planning in a little bit more detail as well. And
thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I prefer this, even though we're not in the same room together. It is interactive. It does Well, it feels live, but sometimes there's something, gee, I missed, or could I get back to you? Maybe you need a YouTube channel. There you go.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
In Community Futures and this program, IBDS has a whole host of recorded sessions that we've been doing over the last 3 years. So I'll send out the link to that YouTube page just so that you have access to some of those previously recorded sessions. We've covered so many different topics.
There's only so much we can go over as well. Like, yeah, and it's good to have organizations like y'all so you can go into a little more of those smaller details that we might not be able to cover.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's great. Thanks, Jared. I think if there's no other questions, we'll just wrap it up. And oh, there's just a comment here in the chat. That's it. Clapping hands. And that's great. And I will also send out just, the information for Startup Sask Institute in my follow-up email, just so that everybody has that kind of top of mind as well.
Perfect. Sounds great. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.